Good day and welcome, my name is Drake598 and I am here today to give you a little bit of a tutorial on the Liberian from Spacehulk Deathwing and how he performs. So we'll get stuck into the match. The Liberian is probably one of the more simple of the characters. High damage output, a little bit of crowd control.
We finally found the artifact that I had
support.
seen, and perhaps was the source of the visions that beset the Librarius. In the ancient Dark Angel's ship, we uncovered a conservation chamber that held ancient gene seed from the Legion of the Lion, a gift of the Emperor's genius. Even as we celebrated this discovery, a terrible brood lord, the final evolution of gene stealers, assailed us, and we only vanquished it with much difficulty and loss. Our brothers came to our assistance, and with them we secured Caliban's will to ensure that no gene stealers would seize the precious gene seed.
As you saw, we're playing on the hardest difficulty here. We're doing chapter 6 with all the characters for this to give them sort of a assessment, so they're all doing the same chapter. And it's a relatively quick chapter, so everybody has a fair chance to sort of get through it. The Liberian probably has the least in the way of weapon loadout, and probably only really one way you should be configuring him, which is a little bit of a downside for the Liberian. So I'll show you some of his weapon loadouts. He doesn't have access to that much. He has the Lightning Claws, the Redemption, Stormbolter, and Stormbolter A2, Power Fist, Force Sword, and Force Axe. However, the loadout for him, you're going to want to use the Force Axe, maybe the Force Sword, but the Force Axe gives a 66% cooldown on all his spells, where the Force Sword gives him a 40%. So pretty much everybody goes for the Force Axe just for that cooldown on all the skills. And if you actually take the Force Axe, that locks you into using either the Stormbolter or the Stormbolter MK2. You do not have a lot of option there. If you take the Redemption or the Lightning Claws into Redemption or the Lightning Claws. So that's just off. This guy has Spontaneous Combustion as his third skill, Lightning Strike, and a Force Wave. The Force Wave is very defensive, doesn't really have much in the way of damage output, but is quite good at keeping units away from your squad, so it's a very support-based skill. The Lightning Strike is quite good, a good offensive skill. You may even end up relying on that at longer ranges rather than your Stormbolter or MK2. The only problem with that is sometimes it doesn't directly target the enemy you're pointing at. It may choose its own target. That is one thing to be aware of. Another thing to be aware of is if the turret is inactive and not shooting at you, the lightning will not attack it. See, that one was about to start shooting, so it blows it up. But say it's inactive at one point during your and becomes active later, you would only be able to use the lightning on it at the later stage, not the earlier stage. So that is definitely something to be aware of. Everything seems fairly quiet today. This guy, the Liberian, is quite effective at killing Broodlords and Ciphers on a lower difficulty. On the hardest, he's probably not the best choice for that, but he can hold them at bay. And indeed take them out through a doorway or something like that. That should not be too much of a problem for him. squishy than some of the other characters. That is definitely something to be aware of. And the Stormbolter and MK2 that he is locked into using is just a little bit lackluster, as you can sort of see there in the way of damage output. So that's something else to be aware of. Now there's a couple of warriors, so I might as well just burn that off. Turret does not want to go down. Didn't even really need to kill it. I locked the door, but yeah.
Your signal, brother.
So with this guy, I'm not really gonna... I can swap his weapon loadout, but the only real difference will be the MK2, sadly. He doesn't have a lot in the way of weapon choice. That's definitely something to be aware of. I find this guy to be a great party support. He's never going to be the best tank, and he's never going to have the greatest damage output. But you combine him with a couple of other classes, and he can be very effective indeed. I would probably choose the Stormbolter over the MK2 for this guy, just for that little bit more accuracy. You can go the MK2 for the extra damage output. It depends on what sort of squad you want running with at the time. So as you can see, he sort of holds up fairly well by virtue of damage output and his Force Blast to repulse enemies. And you really do sort of want to make sure you have the Force Axe or the Force Sword to really reduce that cooldown limit. Otherwise, things like spontaneous combustion will take you a very long time to get up and ready. So that's something else to be aware of there. As you can see, he's certainly not the most active. He does have some very interesting perks. He is the only class that has access to a reduction in psychic damage, which can be a very good perk to put on this guy. And have him as your main psychic killer. Now you may be able to see here, this turret is actually... There we go. From here on out, I'm not really expecting to actually be able to finish this mission, unless I'm extremely lucky here. But you've been able to pretty much see a good overview of, and that's why I don't really expect him to survive. You've been able to see a good overview of his skills, his abilities, his weapon loadouts. There's not a lot of option in the way of perks and things for him. I would say the main one would be the psychic reduction. That can be very, very handy, especially on the higher difficulties. So, thank you very much for tuning in. I have been Drake598 Shadow. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.